So this one is dedicated to all the scientific thinkers out there, but it's primarily for Cassidy Ford because she really inspired me to write this one. It's called Color Coding. The world is entirely divided into shapes. Each tile is its own piece of floor. Each crayon is its own tube of color. Each star is its own sphere of light. And the more we separate these things, the easier it becomes to understand them. Let's face it, city grids are much more navigable than nature, and turning a sky full of stars into individual constellations makes them exponentially easier to fathom. Circles and squares and fractals are only the beginning, and the first time I ever crashed my car will be for that very reason, because when you're flying on pavement and you're surrounded by glass, the last thing you'd want to do is fail to notice the way the branches of dead trees look against a white-gray sky in the winter and the negative space it all creates. But don't forget to brake in 3, 2, 1. The world is entirely divided into shapes, and this makes things easier. We can find triangles obtuse enough for the sleeves of a shirt to hang from the corners, 4 rectangles big enough to envelop a whole room, and a circle so small that it fits in the very center of your eye. It's convenient that I can divide my bedroom into quadrilaterals and have a place for everything. This spot is for the books, that one for the movies, and on the other side, 2 drawers down, is where I'll put my socks. It's convenient that I can divide my mind into quadrilaterals and have a place for everything. This spot is for all the memories I have of my mother combing my hair. That one for my irrational fears, and on the other side, 2 drawers down, is where I'll put my self-respect. But what happens when the box of love you have for someone cracks under the weight because you thought it could all fit when it can't? We underestimate the rigidness of a square, hoping that maybe we can change an angle to 91 degrees because our pride cannot be confined. Our selflessness cannot be contained, or so we think, until it invades the space labeled sanity. The world is entirely divided into shapes, but our minds don't have to be, because the less we separate things, the more beautiful they become, and I'm not one to settle for easy. I carved away a spot for doubt and distrust a long time ago, but I let my idealism take it over because I'm only human, and now I'm much too hopeful for my own good, but at least I can dream. Sometimes I let the peripheries of my thoughts melt down so that everything bleeds together around the edges until I've created something that no system could handle. And you know you've made a masterpiece when you can manage to live by the system and defeat it at the same time. I've decided that love is the most beautiful thing in the world, and it is far from systematic. I've rationalized it 1,000 times over, but it refuses to stay inside the lines. So draw all the borders you want. Draw them on graph paper and in ink and permanent marker, whatever you think will last the longest, but someday, if you're lucky, you might meet a stranger on the street, or a character from a book, or the person behind the voice inside your head. They'll walk you all the way down the number line, through the uncharted realms of the color wheel, and on the other side, 2 drawers down, they'll show you that the best boxes were built to break. Thank you.